Okay. Well, what we're going to talk about today is the listing presentation. And of course, you don't need a listing presentation unless you can get listings, and that's tough in today's market. But you know, it helps if you put things in perspective for potential sellers to realize that yeah, it's hard to give up that low interest rate, but at the same token, you know, most people have good equity in their homes. And if you want to move, you know, now's the time to do it. So the more inventory we can encourage out there, the better. But one of the things that's important is if you get a listing prospect, and hopefully you will, you know, fingers crossed, if you get a listing prospect, you need a compelling story to tell or a compelling listing presentation. And we have a listing presentation that we've been using through the years, and it's been modified. And I just want to review it with you and let you know that it's available. To find our listing presentation, you'll go to Dropbox. And so if you're used to accessing Dropbox online at dropbox.com, then your screen's going to look like this. And the folder you want is Realty World RW Indy Agents. That's a shared folder, and I've shared that with all of you. If you've added it to your computer, it's probably just going to be in your list of favorites over here, like on a Mac. But at any rate, you go to the RW Indy Agent share folder right here, and then you scroll down to listing presentations, and then you can choose the most current listing presentation. It's in both Keynote and PowerPoint, so you can select the presentation that you want and open it up. Now, these listing presentations that are in Dropbox are for everyone. So they are editable, so you can go in and edit these presentations, but please save it as a copy to your computer or your personal Dropbox folder before you edit the presentation. Because if you don't, then you'll be changing the presentation for everyone. And so right now it's set up kind of as a generic presentation. So I pulled up the presentation. You should be looking at the presentation now. Do you see it? Everybody see it?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and run the presentation by clicking the slideshow. And now you should be seeing the whole screen should be the slide presentation, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so the way that I like to use the slide presentation, and any of you can use it any way you want. I use it with every client, even friends. I may do an abbreviated version with friends, but I use it all the time. And the reason I do is that a lot of people don't understand what I'm going to do for them and why I'm worth the fee that I'm going to charge to them. And so it's important, I think, to have a listing presentation that tells a compelling story of why they should use you and your company to list their home versus any other company out there. For instance, the FC Tucker Company or Remax or EXP Realty or whoever, why they should use you. And so if you have a compelling story to tell, it will help quite a bit with that. The other thing about a listing presentation is you can easily present this using an iPad, so you don't have to use a full-blown laptop computer, although it works well on a laptop. But you could also use just a iPad for it. I have a mini iPad that I use when I do listing presentations. Just going through this with you, I'll just kind of go through it with you briefly and talk a little bit about it. So it just starts out with a welcome screen. Our name opens the doors, our agents close the deals. That's just a advertising byline from Realty World. To move forward, I have a little summary. Here's what we'll be covering, who we are and why you should choose us to sell your property, pricing your property, preparing your property to sell, and our marketing plan for selling your property. So those are the things that we're going to talk about. And by the way I do a listing presentation is when I go to the house, the first thing that I do is take a tour. So I usually try to leave my briefcase or my computer, my laptop, my iPad on the kitchen table or somewhere like that. And then we go around the house and we look at the house because I need to have an understanding of what the house looks like. And as we're going through, I'm asking questions of the seller. What did they like about the house when they bought it? What have they done to it since they've lived there? That type of thing. I'm also scanning for staging issues that might be there, and I might be making suggestions as we go along about staging or things that need to be corrected for their listing. So we'll go through the property, and then we're going to come back after a lot of question and answer and sit down, and that's when I will usually start my listing presentation. And one of the things that I'll ask them early on in the presentation, and keep in mind, I've always done my comps before I went out there. So I have an idea of what homes are selling for. I always ask them what they think their house is worth. And, a lot of times they'll say, well, that's what you're here for, is to tell me. and I say, that's exactly right. Now I am going to tell you that, but I'd like to know in advance what you think it's worth. And so I try to get them to tell me what they think their house is worth, so that I've got an idea whether I'm even in the ballpark and whether they're in the ballpark, because I've already looked at the comps and I already got an idea of what average market value is. Are they in the ballpark, or are they being crazy? So at any rate, then I'm going to go and launch into this listing presentation with them. So the next thing, the next big question is, why Realty World? That's who you are part of as a franchise. So why should they use Realty World? Why hire Realty World? We're an international franchise with over 800 offices worldwide. We have nationwide exposure, and we have $1 billion name. Our name means real estate, and we've been around for a long time, founded in 1972. That's important just to give credibility to the brokerage that you're part of, give credibility to the marketing effort that you're going to be doing for them, so that that they don't get the impression that this is, Jim's fly-by-night realty, but rather, part of a international franchise organization. And then why Realty World Indy? Why our local company? Now I pulled these stats. You can use these stats if you want or not. I pulled these stats a few months ago, so you could pull more recent ones if you want. But right now, our days on market are about 12 days average, and the market's 18 days average. And the market list price is 100%. We're averaging 101%. So based on the stats, if you list with Realty World Indy, your house will potentially sell sooner and for more money. You can, by the way, if you don't want to use a slide, you can either delete it or you can hide it, skip it. Just so that you know, as you're editing this for your own use. Also, we're experienced in the local market, state-of-the-art technology and marketing tools, particularly the tools that are offered through KV Core. property websites for the listing, virtual tours, and skilled photography. I always hire a professional photographer to shoot my listings. And syndication to all major real estate websites. And I have a little graphic here built into the PowerPoint or keynote presentation that just shows the various places where their listing will be syndicated so that they understand, hey, it's going to go out to all the real estate websites. It's going to be on the MLS. It's going to be on Zillow. It's going to be on Trulia and all of those places. And so then why hire you? And it says, why hire your name? That means that you're to change this to your name. So on my listing presentation, it would say, why hire Jim Jordan? And then I would go into my service commitment. I will partner with you to sell your property in the shortest amount of time possible for the greatest amount of net proceeds to you. And so that's my service commitment. You can use that if you want, or you can edit it and change it to fit what you want as your service commitment. You can also talk about your experience. So in my case, 17 plus years of real estate experience, 20 plus years technology business experience, a lifelong area resident. I'm persistent and I have a lot of integrity. So I'm just going to talk about a little bit about myself and presuming that maybe they don't know everything about me. Then I want to go into some of the agency things. Now I'm going to have our office policy on agency with me, and I'm going to leave a hard copy of that with them. But this kind of goes into agency disclosure. So one of the things you're going to talk about is, as your agent, I owe you disclosure, confidentiality, obedience, accountability, care, and loyalty. You could go into a quick definition of what each one of those is. But you want to try to keep your listing presentation to around 30 minutes. So you have to move fairly quickly through a lot of these things. You're going to talk about agency, about buyers and sellers, and that if there's no agent involved, that's an unrepresented sale or for sale by owner. And then you're going to talk about seller agency, and that's how you're representing them, is that as a seller. And then there's the buyers out there that don't have an agent. So then we introduce the concept of the buyer's agent, and we let them know, okay, there's a buyer's agent out there, and we're going to pay that buyer's agent a cooperating broker commission to represent their buyer in the purchase of your home. And so we're going to talk about how the commission's paid and who's going to pay it and who's representing who. And then we're going to talk about the limited agency and what that means. And again, we're going to use these little illustrations to kind of talk about, people tend to remember pictures more than they do verbiage. And so we're going to talk about limited agency and how important it is to understand how that works. And so then we're going to go right into pricing, because that's always the number one thing that people want to know. They want to get the most money they possibly can out of their house. So we bring up the question, why is it important to price your property right? We want to point out to them to beware of pricing over market value. If it's priced over its fair market value, it will take longer to sell. It will become shop worn, cause you to lose valuable time, cause advertising and marketing dollars to be wasted, and it will cause appraisal problems. And I just read a report recently where in this market that's a super seller's market where there's not enough inventory out there. If you overprice and the house persists on the market for more than a week, your chance of getting an over market offer diminishes dramatically. And in fact, if it's on the market for as long as 30 days, you will not sell it for list price, but you'll probably have to discount the selling price if you haven't already done it. So it's important that it be priced right for that very first week in this hot market, because the buyers know this is a hot market. And when something doesn't sell right away, their automatic assumption is there must be something wrong with that property. And the seller must be getting desperate. So I'm going to go in. If I want that property, I'm going to make a below market offer for it. They're not going to go in there with that high over market price. That's going to be in that first week if they judge that it's worth it. So then you're going to go on. There's another graphic here that talks about the importance of pricing, and it shows the number of buyers available at different levels. So at fair market value, you can see you probably have about 60 to 70% of the buyers. If you're overpriced by even 10%, you reduce that down to 30% of the available buyers are interested in the property. So that's just a graphic that you can use to, again, show them the importance. Another thing I like to discuss with them is what determines the value of a property. Improvements, yes and no. It depends on the improvement that's made and the quality of the improvement. What I say does not matter. I don't determine market value. What other realtors say does not matter. They don't determine market value either. How much you need to get out of it doesn't really matter. The market determines market value. And the original sale price doesn't necessarily determine what the market value is currently for a property. So what does determine value? Well, first of all, market trends. Is the market going up, falling, and et cetera? And this is where you can share with them some of your market insight information that we talked about last week about using market insight reports from MIBOR. I would take those along with you, or you could even take a picture and make that part of your listing presentation, that market infographic to kind of show what's going on. Actual neighborhood sale prices, that's the absolute key to what's going on. Competition, what else is for sale in that price range and what's it like? The condition of the property is absolutely key. Even in a hot real estate market, condition is still very important for getting those over list offers. And of course, location. Who can talk enough about location? That's critical to all real estate sales. And one of the things I talk about is supporting the sale, that it's like a three-legged stool. There's the price, there's the product, which is the home, and there's the promotion. The price and the product are determined by the seller. So I let them know you're going to determine what the price of the property is. You're going to determine what the product's like that I'm going to have to sell. My job as a real estate agent is to promote it, to get buyers to go through your property and make offers on the property. That's what I do. I don't control what your property looks like. You do. I don't control what the price is. You're going to set the price. I'll give you advice on the price, but you're going to set the price. And then I go on to ways to sell your home faster. Think like a buyer. Start making a list. Why did you purchase this property? Do everything before you put the property on the market. A lot of people ask me, well, should I wait for carpet so they can pick their own carpet? The answer to that is no. Put the new carpet in now. Have a decorator choose the carpet and make it neutral. Don't wait. People like nice and fresh and new. They'd rather see it than think about having to do the work themselves. In fact, a lot of buyers will turn down a property because it's just too much work. I don't want to replace all the carpet. So do it in advance. Focus on 6 key points: repairing, cleaning, neutralizing, space management, atmosphere, and staging. I have a little document, 11 ways to get more money out of your home when you're selling it. It's a little handout I give to them at my listing presentations. And you might want to, you have that's in your shared folder, the Realty RW Indy agent shared folder. So feel free to use that as well. We always have a little conversation about staging. I let them know, for best results, use a professional. Professionally staged homes do tend to sell quicker and for more money, particularly in the higher end. Now, I may not recommend staging for $275,000 house in Hamilton County, because that's probably going to sell right away. And so I'm not sure you're going to need a lot of staging for that. And I let them know I can refer them to a professional staging company to stage the home if they would like. However, I do give them some staging tips as they go through the home. So they are getting some professional help that way, just from me. So where do buyers come from? So I'm leading in with this question to what I'm going to do for them marketing wise. And so how do we find buyers? Buyers can be found in many ways. Some of the best are the internet, other agents, and property signs. And there's a little graphic here that shows, where buyers come from, and we're all kind of aware of that. And so then I go into my custom marketing plan for your property, and I've set the stage for that by talking about the internet and some of the other things. So now I'm going to go through my marketing plan. So I'm going to spend most of the rest of the time talking about how I'm going to market their listing. So number one, I'm going to do a walkthrough with staging and repair suggestions, which we just did. That's why I start the listing presentation with that. I've already completed the first step of my marketing plan while I was there before I even presented the listing presentation. Then I'm going to do a comparative market analysis to establish fair market value. Now, you can do a one-step or two-step listing presentation. That's completely up to you. So you could hold back the comparative market analysis and say, now I've seen your house, I'll go to the office, I'll prepare a market analysis, and I'll get it over to you. Or you can say, I've already prepared a market analysis for your home. Here it is. And you could pull it out and start reviewing your market analysis. You've already hopefully got an idea of what they think their house is worth. I talk about, I'm going to do a complete photography of the interior and exterior. If you're going to use drone photos, and let them know you're using drones. If you're going to use the I forget what those cameras are that you kind of do a virtual tour of the property. I don't like those, by the way. I like to show just enough to get people to come and look at the property. I don't want them to think that they've seen the property online and they don't need to come in person. I want them to see enough photography, professional photos, that they want to come and see it. So I go kind of light on some of the virtual tour stuff. Because I don't want them thinking they've already seen the house. I'm going to place the listing on my board, Brokers Listing Cooperative. I point out to them that is the same thing as the MLS. Because some people will say, when you tell them I'm going to post it on the BLC or the Brokers Listing Cooperative, they go, well, I kind of want my house to be on the MLS. Well, that's what the Brokers Listing Cooperative is. It creates confusion for sellers, I know, and buyers. But my board's persistent in calling it the Brokers Listing Cooperative. So be that as it is. And we're going to put a yard sign if it's allowed. Obviously, some condo projects don't allow yard signs, in which case there won't be a yard sign. And I continue on. We're going to offer a competitive commission to cooperating brokers. So I talked to them about that, and I talked to them about the fact that commissions are completely negotiable. We talked a few weeks ago about having a schedule of services, and they choose what their commission rate is based on what services they want. And so you protect them, you present them with your silver, gold, and platinum plan, and they decide which one they want. And that's going to determine what their commission is. It's also going to determine what the cooperating broker commission is going to be. And obviously, the more competitive on that, the more cooperating brokers want to sell the property. Photos with captions loaded into the BLC. So I put captions on every single photo that I put in. It's a lot of work. It's the pain in the rear, but It will help you stand out from people who just post photos. And then when people go online, they have no idea what they're looking at. They have no idea what that room is. Bedrooms all look the same. And if you don't put captions on there, I also use the captions to point out features of the home in the captions. So you only have so much room, for a description, but then in the captions, you can describe more of the home that goes with the pictures. So when you're looking at a room, you can describe what's going on in that room, things like fireplaces and windows and things of that sort. I let them know that mobile alerts are going to be set up. That's actually just a normal feature of Connect BLC, but they don't know that, so I'm letting them know that. Information box with custom color flyers, if that's appropriate. Flyer boxes, particularly in the old days when you had to really work to sell property, I would deploy a flyer box for the first week for the neighbors. Because they're the ones that take the flyers out of the flyer boxes. And I put color flyers in there. Then after a week, I pull it up and take it away. Because I want the neighbors all to have color flyers, and it does two things. Neighbors are the best source for new neighbors to buy the house. And secondly, it gives me an opportunity to give them a marketing piece of mine to impress them with what I'm doing to sell this property. So a neighbor down the street sees the work I'm doing to sell the property. They may approach me about listing their property then. So I try to make those flyers really, really important looking, particularly if they've driven around and they've gone into flyers and there's black and whites on real thin plate paper, half-hearted attempt to put a flyer in there. And mine are nice on heavy paper, color, I put a little bit of time and effort into my flyer. It gives them the idea that I'm going to do a better job listing and selling a property. Electronic lockbox is going to go on for ease of showing and security. I talked to them about how that works. Set up a custom property website for marketing a house online. That's all going to be done through KV Core automatically. I don't tell them it's automatically. I just let them know I'm going to do that. I'm going to set up a mobile website to optimize the viewing on smartphones. Again, that's all automatic. I'm going to syndicate to other websites. I've already talked to them about that. I'm going to post on social media. So I let them know I have active posting on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And, KB Core has a great program for marketing your listings on there. And it's going to almost on a daily basis give you listings or give you postings that you can post. And then I'm going to monitor major real estate websites for accuracy and activity. I'm going to go out there on Zillow, look up the listing on Zillow and make sure that everything's correct on the Zillow listing, on a Trulia listing, on the Realtor.com listing, and et cetera. I'm going to post videos on YouTube. Again, that's somewhat automatic in that the YouTube video is created and posted by KV Core, but I would also post it to your personal YouTube channel and maybe even do a video walkthrough of the property just using your smartphone. You could do that and then post it on your YouTube channel. And I'm going to create a virtual tour for listing and real estate websites. I'm going to reverse prospect into BLC and email flyers to agents because I know agents are a source of buyers. I'm going to make sure that they know your property's out there. And emails are going to be automatically generated for people with active searches. And so those are going to go out right away. And so, and I'm going to continue on, with email color flyers, notify my prospect base, open houses, marketing flyers for inside the property, feature cards. Feature cards can be very important in a property that has features that aren't obvious, such as low-E windows and things that people may not notice when they're walking through. I don't use feature cards to say granite countertops. Everybody can look at granite and see, it's Mr. Obvious there. Granite looks like granite. It is granite. Now, if it's something special, let's say the countertops are sandstone, which is an unusual countertop, then I would make a flyer for that, or a feature card, so that they understand that that is something that's different. It's not granite, it's not solid surface, it's sandstone. So I want them to know that. And then community and school information, I print that off, leave it in the property. All this marketing I do, right away, the first day. I try to give myself, I tell them that to me, the strategic time to put a listing on the market is Thursday. So I prepare my clients and say, okay, the best time for us to go on the market is Thursday. Most people will see it either yet on Thursday or Friday for sure. And then they'll want to make appointments to see it over the weekend. And so you can just spend that weekend somewhere else, maybe go out of town on vacation or whatever. But because you're going to get all the showings on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And so, just plan on being out of your house for those days. And so I tell them now, to lead up with that, I need to have time for my photographer to take pictures of your house. And so, we need to start this process, so maybe pictures on Tuesday, so that I have them loaded into the BLC by Wednesday. And I'm working on all my marketing stuff on Wednesday as well. And then it goes in on Thursday. And so that's what I do there. I also talk about home warranties. And let them select whether they want to offer a home warranty or not. A lot of buyers or a lot of sellers don't want to do that in the hot real estate market, and I understand that. By the same token, if there's some questionable things at their property, like maybe their furnace is a little on the questionable side as far as age, offering a home warranty might really help sell the house. Statistic reports, they analyze and determine market trends. I let them know that I'm doing those things. And I do a market update report on them for them, typically on a weekly basis, to let them know how things are going. And then I talk about getting their house ready for market, and that we have an 11-step process for making their property more value. We're going to execute a listing contract. I'm going to need 2 front door keys, one for the lockbox and one as a backup. And boy, you need that backup key, because you never know what's going to happen with a lockbox, because they do fail from time to time, and you need a way to get in that property if the lockbox fails. So if they only have 1 key, then I go out and get a second key made. But I ask them for 2 front door keys. That way they'll give me 2 keys and I don't have to go out and get one made. Utility information sheet. Most people want to know what the utilities are. Seller's disclosure, they need to fill out. I have that with me. We're going to schedule a photographer. Letter to the buyer. Now, this is not a love letter. This is a letter to prospective buyer about why you like the house and the neighborhood and things of that sort. So why you bought the house, kind of thing. And then showing process. You're going to talk about the how it works with Broker Bay, how they will be notified of their showings, and that they want to leave during showing. So if they're planning on only leaving when a showing happens, let them know that they do need to leave, and that they need to turn every light on in the whole house, every single light, make it light and bright. Light and bright sells houses. So every house on, every light on. They can do additional things like have nice music playing in the background. They could even bake some cookies and leave them out to particularly on higher end listings. I suggest, they bake a plate of cookies and leave them for prospective buyers, kind of to bribe them into staying in the house a little longer. As they're sitting there munching on a cookie in the kitchen, a lot of times they're thinking about, wow, I can picture myself living here, type of thing. And then you're going to go through the estimated net proceeds with them. If you've already done a market analysis, you're going to go through this. If not, then you're not going to go through this because you haven't established any pricing yet. What about earnest money? You want to talk a little bit about what happens with earnest money. so that they have an understanding of where earnest money goes and how it's handled. And then you're going to talk about evaluating offers, and we're going to talk about all these things like sale price, the net proceeds, the financing or pre-approval or approval of funds, all the contingencies that may show up in a contract, closing and possession date, inspection, and as is addendum, title fee and title policies, and home warranty, because all of this stuff factors into net proceeds for them and how quick the house will sell. And then I'm also going to talk to them about how multiple offers work, how we're going to work through multiple offers, when we might call for highest and best, how we deal with escalation clauses, love letters from buyers that I won't present them because of fair housing concerns. So they should not expect any love letters from buyers because they won't be presented. Pre-approval of their lender is important. Talk about appraisal situations that could crop up where the purchase price is greater than appraisal. And then timing and expiration of offers. We're going to talk about that. All of that to get them prepared for the whole process. And then I'm going to leave it for questions. And that's my listing presentation in a nutshell. It took me a little longer to present it to you guys because I stopped and talked about some philosophy things, but we did it in about 37 minutes there. So any questions? What are your questions?
Do we have an earnest money app?
Yes. I sent out the information to that. We have earnest money, EARNNEST, and we have a link that you can post on your websites for people can click on it and pay their earnest money that way. There is a charge. I think it's $18. There is a charge to the buyer to do that. It's a convenience fee for them to pay it that way. But so they don't have to pay it that way, but they can. And if you want, I'll resend that link out to you. Does everybody have the link?
Is there any way you can put that in the I don't have any listing. Maybe on the realtor folder or something that we can get it from there. That would be a good thing for, I don't know, saying presentation.
Yeah, I can do that. Okay, any other questions? I'll get the earnest link to everybody again and put it in there in the Realty World for agents folder.
Cool. No
Any
questions.
other questions?
Nope. This is great, Jim. Thank you.
Okay, hopefully